All right, this is AJ Hege. I'm here with Alison Sherberg.
Hello.
Here at the Lion's Den, the new expansion to Red Lion Pub. How you doing, Allison?
Doing pretty well. Pretty excited. A little nervous.
Yeah, I know you've been really busy lately. You've been actually out of the States, from what I understand, and you just recently got back.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been pretty active, to say the least.
Yes, not always with music, but definitely with all of my jobs, so it's been fun.
Yeah, well, it sounds like this is kind of a culmination of what you've been working on, your current project. What was the name of your latest EP release?
Same Life, Different Songs.
Okay, Same Life, Different Songs. So this is kind of the celebration for that, and we have three bands playing tonight specifically.
Yes.
And a comedian as our host. Well, that's going to be interesting.
Good old Tom Feeney.
That's right, Tom Feeney. But all right, I just had a few questions because I want to kind of get to know you as an artist. My first question is, when and why did you first get into music, Allison?
Oh gosh, I've done music all of my life. It's definitely been something I've loved to do and just kind of come naturally to me. I've been in choirs since I was in 5th grade to senior year of high school. And when I was probably around 14 was when I got my first guitar. I was very inspired by Sheryl Crow, of all people, and she hit home with me. So I wanted my own guitar, and man, learning my first song, how to sing simultaneously with playing the guitar, was the hardest thing I think I've ever done in my life.
Really?
And accomplishing that made me realize I can accomplish a lot of things. And I didn't start writing my own stuff until I was 16, and it was probably one of the biggest heartbreaks I had. Being in high school, everything's very traumatic, even on a small scale. And I just had kind of a hiccup with a guy, and so I've always written poetry. That's kind of how my lyrics came to fruition. And I just was playing around on my guitar just to get my mind off of it, and I came up with a riff that I really liked. And I've never really written my own stuff before. And with that, I kind of dug up from my WordPress, because I'm a huge blogger. One of the pieces of poetry I had, and I took it apart. I literally chopped it up to make it fit the melody that I just created. And that turned into one of my songs that I still play today, called Giving Tree.
Giving Tree, okay. Wow, so you have a poetry background. And it sounds like you draw some of your inspiration from maybe past experience, like heartbreaks or something.
Absolutely.
That we all can kind of relate to, And it kind of goes up to my next question. Would you say there's any specific artist that inspired your own work as a musician?
Gosh. Yes, I would say a lot of Fiona Apple. You can hear Ingrid Michaelson is someone that really tapped into why I got into ukulele and, trying that kind of different outlet with music. Say Anything, Max Bemis is one of my favorite lyricists, and he and I go hand in hand with using theatrics in regards to how we do stage performances and such. And I really loved how he added a character behind his songs, and that's kind of what I try to emulate and try to do in my own work, which was very inspirational for my music.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right, big influence. So you're known to host a lot of events, like open mics, like here at Red Lion, for example, and other venues. Would you name some of your favorite places? Not even just in Florida, but Florida and abroad. Would you have
goodness.
any favorite ones you want to
shout
out to?
Shout out to a lot of Orlando places.
Yeah.
Of course, Red Lion Pub is one of my favorite places. This is one of the few places that I actually went to grow at. Natura Coffee and Tea is another one that I really grew as a performer at. That was the first place I played. And also, I want to give a shout out to Austin's Coffee and Dandelion. They have a great setup there, as well as down in the North Broward, North Palm Beach area, there's Funky Buddha, which is also one of my favorite open mics.
Funky Buddha. I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's filled to the brim, and I'm trying to go day to day of what else is out there. Thursdays is Natura, Fridays here. Yeah, so I really love the scene here. I think you can't really go a day without finding a place to play, which is really nice, especially as an entertainer. I always have the juice to go out and play and get it out of my, just get out of my comfort zone. So
would you say Orlando's fertile ground for musicians like yourself to start sowing the seeds and play shows here?
Oh,
so to speak?
absolutely. Yeah, I would say that there's really only one day out of the week you can't find an open mic, and I would say that's Saturday,
Really?
which is pretty impressive considering.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a place that kind of goes under the radar for a lot of other places in terms of when you think nationally. If you don't live here, you don't really know how filled to the brim with artistry we have, and the entertainers here are incredible. You know, you go to Tanqueray and you can see almost every great band in this town
That's true.
every night of the week plowing through there, one being Ancient Sun that's playing tonight. And, you know, you really get to know a lot of these great musicians on a personal level. And it's definitely one of the most creative cities. Even we've been acknowledged recently on kind of polls and statistics through newspapers and such. And I hope that it gains traction and people actually really catch on to us being a booming city when it comes to that creativity.
Yeah, I have to agree. Yeah, there's a lot of momentum here right now. It's definitely a good time.
Yeah, the community is amazing. The love here is, I would say, unlike anywhere else. So,
Really, and you traveled abroad too. You just got back, so that's a big statement. And I do feel there's a lot of love,
Yeah,
and that we all project it in our own way. But yes, okay, I wanted to talk about your EP release. I've heard it gotten a top 100 best albums recently. So I kind of want to what are your latest songs about, and how do you feel about your level of success thus far? Is that
Yeah,
It's a
so I'm still an amateur. I just kind of been going off of my instincts, and I think that's been pretty rewarding as is. Dropping my EP on iTunes was something I decided to do unannounced, just I spent 8 months working on my EP, and it was only not only 6 songs, but there are 6 songs on there, and that took quite a bit of time, because from the start and from the get-go, I've literally just been myself, my vocals, and my guitar. I've never really had a backing with a band. I've played in a few bands, but never my own work. And so when I was approached to do this EP, I'm very open, and I'm very much a huge supporter of being in teamwork and being collaborative. And I want to hear what other people hear and try to go off of that to build something I couldn't have created on my own. And so that took time with the EP, because we had about 3 different people in Wholehearted Productions and myself just kind of figuring out a way to make it more bigger sounding and fuller sounding than just me and a ukulele, and I think we did a really good job with that. I know in regards to my songs, what sticks out about them is that I focus on lyrics. I'm a huge lyricist, being that poetry background. And a lot of people, when you listen, you just kind of do a double take and say, wow, for example, How Reflective is a song that I'm literally talking to myself as if in a mirror, and the entire song is me talking to myself. And when Wholehearted Productions heard it at first, they were going all poppy and big with it, and then they took a second and said, wait, she's not talking to somebody. This isn't about a guy. This is about herself and her trying to tread waters carefully, because she knows her own records and how she can be, she has a tendency to hurt people unintentionally based off of, being an independent. And so that song in particular, I think, has really hit home and has become a number 1 for a lot of people, which is really cool to me, because when I hear my album, all of them are unique in their own way, but it's cool when one of them doesn't hit as strongly with me and I'm a little nervous. Someone will come to me and say, that song is my favorite. So that's been fun. But yeah, it was pretty incredible. When I dropped it on iTunes, I had no expectations. I kind of just dropped it and ran, because it's, essentially my baby. And it's just,
baby, okay.
And it's one of those things where once you put it out in the world, you see it as, the best thing that's ever happened. But there's just so much out there that can say otherwise. And the world can be a hard place and a hard critic at that, especially with, I would say, the web culture and how people are very open to being cruel. With that whole distance of you're behind a computer screen, you have no connection to the person that you're being cruel to, and that was the scariest part, I think, and my most vulnerable part is that's basically, as Anna Nalick put it in one of her songs, my words are me naked on a stage, essentially. That's who I am. Wow. It's the rawest form of me, and so once people started sharing it immediately. Like Ross McCoy, he's a big guy, big comic in the area, and it was really nice for him to kind of go above and beyond and share my music with the world. And people like that I didn't expect to even, think twice for it really helped. And I think that's what got it to be so recognized on the top 100s in the singer-songwriter section of iTunes.
So a lot of community support to balance out those trolls. There's real people you do connect, and they love you, and I see that love around here.
Absolutely. Like
see it in your eyes.
Tonight is going to be a huge reward for me to see the physical, to see everyone physically here, and not just not just on the internet supporting me, but physically here supporting it, supporting me, supporting the community. And it was, I don't know exactly what's ahead for me in terms of music, but the way I've been going about it has been, I think, the most rewarding way for me, and just kind of always thinking community first and always trying to get as many people that I love and appreciate and respect involved.
That's what I'm about, the community. So. Okay, so on a lighthearted note, I saw your Facebook status, and I know I'm big savvy on that, and you said you wanted to learn 50 covers. And my question is, have you learned them? And if you have, which ones can you name on the top of your head?
Oh gosh, I've only learned 10 because I'm slow to grow with this.
Yeah.
But it's one of those hardships as a musician, that being in Orlando and being such an under the radar kind of city, there's really no place that you can go on a regular basis outside of bars that require you to do 50 plus covers in the familiar.
Really?
Yeah.
They have they're mandatory about this, not just a
Well, it's not necessarily mandatory, but when you have 4-hour gigs, they don't want you in these kind of public forums, like bars and such, playing your own stuff. First of all, not many people have 4 hours of their own material. And secondly, they want, as you're their own stereo, so they want the familiarity of songs that they know, the classics. When you go to Fiddler's Green or Public House, you're not hearing songs you've never heard before, and that's kind of the drive and the impression that these places give, and they pay good money as a result. And that's kind of the hardships of being a musician in this town, is that there are only few venues that you can book you can't even book them on a regular basis. They're so booked up to the brim, month to month. And you really have to plan months ahead for your shows here. And that being said, it's hard to get a steady income with just your own music.
Okay. So would you say, for starting with kind of my future question, just as a starting musician, do you need a balance of original material as you're developing and, and covers, just so that you're a well-rounded musician and places will... Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, yes. I would say you have to adapt to where you are, and especially where music is today. And it's hard because I know a lot of us, ideally we would love to just play our own music and to keep creating it, but you can only do so much and you can only go so far with the tools at hand. And being completely new, I'm 25 years old. This is when if I were to get big, I would have planned 10 years ahead or 10 years behind me,
wow.
And gotten here. I know a 17-year-old in this town. His name is Jackson, the most beautiful singer-songwriter I've met, and vocally speaking. And he's 17, and he's been doing this for years, and I'm just so far behind in regards to that. There's so much to do in order to get big with your own music, and that's kind of, if I want to get a head start and get comfortable on stages and, get paid, you kind of have to adapt and get covers under your belt so people see you at all these other venues that,
Be adaptive. Then.
Yes.
That's a trait startup musicians will have. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. Well, that makes sense, That's with any arena, I feel. But that's interesting. Okay. Okay. Describe your biggest challenge as a musician, and have you overcome that challenge, if you have any? Any central focal ones you want to talk about?
I think that my biggest challenge is not knowing what's next. I think that a lot of people have managers and plans, and I'm just trying to focus on balancing my life day to day and living in the moment, because I have I'm in a unique position where I have a really good career. I'm very, very grateful. I have a good family structure, great family, friends, and also, a good, stable relationship. And it's one of those things that I try, as much as I try to put all of my focus into music, I have a lot of other avenues and a lot of other balls in my court that I need to pay just as much attention to, if not more, on a day-to-day. The roof over my head is thanks to my career, which, is a big fork in the road for me, and I'm trying to encompass all of it. So a lot of my challenges are just trying to stay prevalent in the music scene here and just kind of go forward with it. I don't know exactly how far I'm going to go with it, that being said, and I think that's a huge challenge on my own, is when do I accept, how big do I want to get, and when do I accept that's enough, and do I want to keep trying to be a bigger player and go viral, in the large sense of the word, or am I content being just a community face? Because I've learned that if you don't actively go out there yourself, you will be forgotten. And that's not a bad thing. It's just saying that you need to do it for yourself. You can't rely on other people to pull you out of your own shell and say that they miss you. You have to actively pursue it yourself, and that's been probably one of my biggest challenges, is being out there and keeping all of that in balance.
So it's like willpower, basically, or drive, and the passion for what you do, which is fairly vital with being adaptive.
Yeah.
So cool. I'm painting a map this time. But okay. Well, okay. I just kind of want to wrap up. Do you have any upcoming projects or any particular events you want to share? Yeah, short term and long term. Anything you want to share with your fans?
Absolutely. I do have a lot going ahead of me, and I don't want to forget any that are big. Big shows coming up for me. Tomorrow, actually, is the start of a mini series of shows for our biggest show, June 6th. It's called the Smashington Festival. It's all going on at the Fashion Square Mall. And June 6th is our biggest festival for it, but we have mini shows. One starting tomorrow, I play at 3 p.m., and I'm going up with Tears of a Tyrant, Whiskey Sharts, and Milka, which are some really big names in this area, and I'm very excited. I've worked with all of them indirectly and directly throughout the year of performing here myself. And we're going to have, I think, 2 more shows before the actual big June 6th one, and we're selling tickets at all of these shows and throughout the month. They're $15 each, so if you see me, definitely grab one. Coming up April 25th is the Earth Day Festival at Lake Eola, and that's going to be really fun. I'm playing solo that day on the acoustic stage alongside John David Williams, Aaron Fox Marshall. I believe Kristen Grice is going to be there. Katie Patton's going to be on the big stage. Hotel Hurry, Tessa Marie, some really good people that I've got to learn, and very talented.
What time is that?
I'm not sure when it starts. I think it starts around 11, I want to say. I don't want to undershoot it. AM.
Oh, good. So it's during the day.
It's a whole day,
I love Lake Eola. I've been there, and I might even go. I really hope I can make that one.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's a Saturday, April 25th.
Saturday, good, okay.
And then coming up May 4th, I want to say, it's a Sunday, I have the Slim Truth at the Venue coming up starting at 6 p.m. I think it's a $5 cover, and it's going to be with my good friends out of the Wholehearted Productions, Dane Myers, and I'm very excited. They actually have their own newspaper, magazine, online blog, and they've interviewed us in the past, and she kind of handpicked us for this event to showcase some of the artists that she's worked with, and so I'm very excited. It's going to be really fun. That's downtown. And then May 14th is my biggest first show at Will's Pub with my band who's playing tonight, Foxy Lady Williams. We're doing it with Goose and Beans, and the headliner's Chasing Jonah. So that'll be really fun. That's a Thursday. Okay. So that's also a $5 cover, and that's one of the shows that I had a hand in creating. So it's pretty exciting.
You helped coordinate it. Okay, you're in.
Yeah.
Well, cool. So you're doing a lot. You're hosting. You're performing shows. And maybe you're kind of going on tour in a big way. I mean, would you say eventually you might be going on a long time tour? You're already kind of doing it, but like official tour? I
would love to. That's a challenge, again, with my career coming into play, because I do have a lot of places I want to travel. Okay. Outside of that, just to get a feel for a lot of scenes. So I do know my New Year's resolution for this year is to take every 3-day weekend that I have and kind of take a day off in between and make sure to get a full fledged vacation in places I've never been. So in July, I'm going to LA. I'm going to definitely make it out to Nashville this year, as well as Asheville and Austin. So some big meccas for music. And I really want to perform there. So, I mean, it's going to be a far and spread tour, if you want to consider that a tour.
But wow, that's going to be busy.
It'll be really fun.
It'll be fun.
And then I think if I do a tour, it would definitely be more in the long-term future, probably in 2016 or 2017.
Okay.
And I'd really want to take the time to kind of... My biggest thing is I think that as a musician, you should establish yourself in one place, and not to say a tour would, take you too far. And I think it's a great learning experience at any point in your career or where you are as a musician or entertainer in general. But I really want to be someone that you see on the street and say, that's a musician in Orlando, that's Alison Sherberg. And I don't know if I'll ever get to that point, but I would love to get to that point when I do make a tour, to say, here are my credentials, and kind of throw them out and see what lands in the nation.
So always have a community base, basically.
Yes.
And that's how, I would agree with that. We always have to start somewhere, and you want to be known for this community and help bring the community with you, in a sense.
Absolutely. So.
Oh, awesome. Well, this is a good, beautiful, I can't wait to this night. I mean, it's like the culmination of that and many more things to come.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Alison, for your time.
Thank you, AJ.
I love you, and thank you. This is AJ Hege, the News Source.